I was really impressed by this point that's been made by Jonathan Ellis, 1842. And Jonathan says the Lib Dems have gained control of Cambridgeshire, Oxfordshire, Shropshire. They have the most seats in Devon, Gloucestershire, Wiltshire, and a second in Buckinghamshire, Cornwall, Durham, Kent, and Warwickshire. Now, see the main media report on this? No, they give Reform all the glory. If the Lib Dems were on the TV, the print media, or online as much as the time that is given to Farage and a bunch of nutters, what could they do? I must say, I'm inclined to agree with you absolutely. The amount of footage that has been given on TV to Farage is simply staggering. I've had a few concerns about the BBC recently, but simply looking at the absence of almost any reference to the Lib Dems' success on Thursday, and the booming lionisation of Nigel Farage and Reform UK, in contrast, it represents a staggering distortion of political coverage in the UK, doesn't it? One that's both, I think, deliberate and revealing. And despite Reform having no MPs and only minimal local government presence, Farage's omnipresence on national television, particularly on GB News, which I suppose makes sense because he's employed by them, and Talk TV, both of which blur the lines between commentary and campaigning, has cultivated an illusion of inevitability. This is not merely coverage, it's curation and it's encouragement. And Farage appears on television with a frequency that would suggest he's already running the country. He's a presenter on GB News. He's interviewed more often than cabinet ministers, and clips of him speaking to the people or speaking for the people are frequently amplified on social media, particularly in echo chambers that thrive on disillusion. Meanwhile, interviews with Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey are rare. And when they do happen, they're often clipped, broadcast or trailed with far less urgency, or indeed they're simply clips of him scuba diving or sitting in a canoe or something ridiculous. Most headlines, and not that I think Ed Davey is particularly worthy of being interviewed at great length, but the party he leads, I think, in contrast, is. And most headlines and broadcast coverage of the local elections frame Reform as the insurgent force against the two-party system, despite Reform's often negligible vote share and thinly organised base. And this false equivalence suggests that they are the only anti-establishment voice, when in fact the Lib Dems have historically been the party of protest, often with strong local credentials and councils to show for it. But media narratives are captivated by the spectacle of populism, angry men with microphones, rather than the patient, often dull business of governing districts and counties as well. And as you rightly noted, the Lib Dems are actually winning control of Cambridgeshire, Oxfordshire, Shropshire, largest party in Devon, Gloucestershire, Wiltshire, second strongest in Buckinghamshire, Cornwall, Kent, Durham and Warwickshire. Yet this real measurable success garners a paragraph or two or a line here and there, often buried deep in electoral roundups, praising Reform. The Guardian, the Times and the BBC tend to give cursory attention to the Lib Dems, while tabloid and right-wing media devote columns to Farage's every passing wind and fume. So in times of political dissatisfaction, the media hunts the loudest voice. I'm not shallow, not the most sensible one, and Reform offers rage. The Lib Dems offer recycling bins, planning reform and bus routes. Guess which one gets a TikTok clip? It's a disservice to democracy to pretend the electorate is only angry and also and not also rational. Many protest votes have gone to the Lib Dems, as seen in Tory collapse across the shires. But without oxygen, that narrative dies. And with a little oxygen, I would imagine that the Lib Dems would do even better. If Ed Davey or Lola Moran had a nightly show with a platform to rail, charm and provoke, or if the press trailed Lib Dem by-election gains with the same breathlessness the press reserves for Reform's poll ratings, we'd likely see a surge, not of stunts, but of support. The Lib Dems are often the secondary party in battlegrounds that matter, but you wouldn't know that from reading the Daily Telegraph or watching Sky News or even scrolling through BBC News homepage, would you?